having a definitive closure to your school year. A lot of times, especially if you're a new homeschooler and you've had expectations that you don't feel that you've met, and you feel like all of these things are undone.
Welcome to the Homeschool Journal, a show that unpacks the joys and journeys of the classical homeschool family. Here's your host, Carrie McGraw.
We're going to talk about how do you handle a new schedule for summer that's coming upon you quickly. We're also going to share with you some of the activities that our families have done over the years. And then talk about, do you ever cover curriculum over the summer? Stay with us on our show today while we introduce you to some summer fun and get you ready for the months that you are looking forward to. Let's hop into our show. Well, Amy and Debbie, here we go. I'm so excited to talk to you today about summer fun. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yes, happy to be here, Carrie.
Great. So let's let our friends know a little bit about why I asked Amy and Debbie to come on today, because these are two experienced moms. We've already had that conversation about we're going to call ourselves experienced, or maybe I'll use the word seasoned, right, ladies?
Amen.
And so Amy is a 25-year homeschool veteran, and she has 9 children, and 3 of them still remain at home. So they are 3rd and 6th and 12th grade. So she sends another one off to college here soon. And our dear Amy and her husband Sam are going to have 19 grandchildren come July. Yay, Amy! Right?
Yeah, amazing. All by myself.
Yay for grandkids.
Yay for grandkids. And Debbie has 7 children, ages 26 down to 7. So her remaining 3 at home are 11th, 8th, and 1st grade. And Debbie, I don't remember the grandchildren count for you.
Oh, I got number 1 coming this summer in July.
That's right. Oh, how
So
exciting. Yay. So as you all can tell, these are my seasoned and experienced homeschool mom friends that are going to talk to us about summer fun and how we jump into the summer. And I want to say, I'm going to give you a quick reflection on my summer months just to open us up here. I always was so excited to have the summer months come up, but I was also frightened at the same time because I loved what was always perceived as this great summer freedom. And then I was scared to death. How am I going to fill all these hours of what we took as a traditional summer break? And part of the reason why my family did that is because one, I did like, to run that traditional school year. I for many years I had one of the children in Highlands Latin school. Almost all of my homeschooling years I was double schooling it. It was homeschool and private school. And so those summer months for us seemed to be pretty traditional. What about you ladies? Did they seem to be pretty traditional for you guys?
Definitely traditional for me. We started homeschooling when my oldest was in 5th grade. And I think there was only like 2 years in there when I didn't have somebody going to some school somewhere. And so, yeah, very much just followed the school year, because trying to get kids to do school in the summer when siblings are not doing school is never happening.
Right. Yeah, Amy, what about you?
Yeah, I would say very much the same. I had ideas of schooling year round, and now I just kind of giggle when moms tell me they're going to do that. But I know some people can and do, but we need closure for sure.
Right. And I do talk to moms on a fairly regular basis that do have, they have an extended break in the summer, but it may not be that, 2.5 to 3 months that my family took or your all's families took. So I do want to recognize that as we talk about these summer months. So let's talk about how our families approached the shift in the family schedule, because it is a shift. Now it's a happy one on the beginning end, to welcome that summer months. But do you guys plan out your summer months? Do you kind of just let it come? And or is there a list of things that you all want to get done? Let's talk to Amy first about how you plan and get ready for this shift in the schedule.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not queen planner. I am definitely more the spontaneous mom by nature. But I as I looked back, Carrie's always making me look back and think about things. And I realized how the Lord has always put me with planners. Like I have friends that are planners. I have kids that are planners. And So that's been a nice balance that's kind of made me rise up to that occasion. But I would say this hit me when I was talking to a young mom. It is kind of like, forgive me, but when you first have a baby and you just let that demand nursing happen for a couple of weeks, and then you're like, okay, it's time to get this baby on a schedule. And that's what always happens. It's like, okay, we're going to have donuts. We're going to sleep in. We're going to watch as many cartoons as possible. In the old days, it was as many videos as we had over and over again, Jungle Book 1,000 times. But then you're like, you're ready, and I like having certain days for certain things. And I like having some things you have to get done before you get to go do those things. And I was thinking you kind of avoid, especially when you have the big crowd. When you have the big crowd, it's different for me now, but back in the day, it was like, if I didn't have a plan, it was like a coup, and I don't want a coup. So I'm going to have a little plan, and they think, okay, mom is still kind of in control. And so anyway, yes.
At least
plan.
if they think that, right, Amy?
Right.
What about you, Debbie?
Gosh, I typically start out in May going, I have all summer in front of me. We're going to get all this stuff done. I've got this big long list, and this is the schedule we're going to follow. And then life happens and none of it gets done. But we all enjoy our summer. So
yeah,
I remember last spring, I was like, okay, so I'm going to get up in the morning. We'll have our breakfast. We'll do our chores. By 9:00, we'll be ready to work. We'll do 2 hours of work, like big projects around the house, right? Like sorting through the old toys and figuring out what to give away and doing some big cleaning and building projects. And then we'll have lunch, and then we'll have the afternoon. We'll either go swimming, or we'll go to a playground, or we'll do something, and then we'll come back and have dinner. And I don't even think I got through a full week of actually doing that kind of schedule, because there's always something, right? The teenagers, well, that's when my friends are wanting to play some game on Discord. And then, the little ones are like, but it's so nice outside right now, and it's going to be hot later. So I want to go out and play outside right now. And how do you say no to that?
Right.
So our summer morphs into a lot of sleeping, book reading, and playing, and and a lot of the big plans just kind of go away. But that's okay.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I have to say, I'm on that ultra planning spectrum, or at least I was. And we'll talk about how that kind of changes through the years. And that's why, I brought Amy and Debbie here, because they've got great reflections on that. But, I was the ultra planner. I mean, I planned it out week by week. I always had a list of things that I wanted to get done, and had organized things prior to summer. And my one caveat was I never quite got through the list. I will say that. And I think I'm a grand list maker and then a mediocre list completer when it comes to that. And so even though I was this great planner, I kind of overplanned, and I have to be really careful with that because I want to also feel that sense of achievement. And I'm crazy about, checking things off with a red pen. It's just nuts. So let's move into talking about the activities that we've done with our families over the summer. And when we talk about these activities, let's, really talk about and recognize the fact that they change through the years. If we've got a young mom that's listening right now that has, maybe kids up to 10 or 11 years, and then you move into those teen years, and then you move into those years like Debbie talked about, where you're spanning it all, it really does kind of shift. And so when we talk about activities, ladies, just share with us, maybe, like Amy said, I'm making you reach back, and look back, just look back, and then bring us forward, into how you handle the summers now, when you've sent quite a few kids off into the world. I'm down by 50% in my home. So, Debbie,
I'm down by 70.
You're down by 70. Oh, goodness gracious. And that's hard. That's hard too. That's another podcast, Amy.
Yeah,
Letting
there you
go,
go.
right?
That's right.
Well, Debbie, let's start with you. Talk to me about like the activities that you get done or planned or made it through in the summer, recognizing those age shifts.
Yeah, I think there's a big change in how the summers go once that oldest kid hits babysitting age. Because before that time, you have to take everybody with you everywhere you go, so you do things differently. Once you have one that can babysit, then you can grab other ones and drive them all around and do all sorts of things and not have to take all the little ones. So, when they were all little, our summers were basically just a lot of them played summer ball, just rec league at the city league. So there was ball practice and ball games, and we'd go to the pool. We'd hang out with friends. We lived in a neighborhood where there were kids on the street, so they'd play outside with the kids. But like I said, if anybody had to go anywhere, you took everybody, and so you learn to try to hope that the ball practice had a playground for the little kids to play on.
Mhm.
But yeah, as they get older, I had one that went to high school. He played football, so there was football practice every day in the summer, right? And then they turn 16 and they get a job, and so then the teenagers are kind of out of the picture for the summer because they're doing their own thing, and it's I think now so often it's they play with each other a lot over the summer because I had 7 total home at one time. But now I feel like my little one's 7 and the next oldest is 13, and so the 7-year-old can sometimes get the 13-year-old to play with her or even her 17-year-old sister. But I feel like I'm actually working a little bit more now to make sure she's got stuff to do because she doesn't have all the siblings to play with that the other ones did. So I try to make time to go to the pool and to go on hikes and bike rides and stuff that sometimes the kids all did on their own, that I kind of have to make sure that she gets to do some of that fun stuff too.
Sure. And for me, Debbie, it was like, when I got down to homeschooling just one, that was a big shift too. So the summers are just as much. And Debbie, you talked about the babysitters. Let me tell you, and I know you all both know this. Let's talk about those drivers. Okay. We anticipate, I know, we anticipate that with great fright, but then it comes and we're going, wow, you can drive somebody to ball practice. Yes. This is great.
Yes.
So Amy, what about you? What kind of activities have you all gotten done through the years?
Yeah, well, I want to respond to Debbie's thing about her youngest, because I was thinking that the two extremes, like when my little ones were all together, we were home most of the time, because there was a chunk of time we were in the country. So their summers were go outside and find something to do, mainly, unless we were going to go swim. And they had each other to stimulate each other to figure out some game they were going to do. Just I loved having the margin of there is nothing that has to interrupt this. They can go. They had what we called the little woods, which were safe and close, and the amount of playing and creative, inventive things that I think still fuel my sons in their businesses. They figure things out, and I love that. But now I think it takes almost more effort when you have less. Now that I'm down to 2 at home, and I feel for Debbie with that, just one bottom. So I have 2 at the bottom. She has 1 at the bottom, and it's a completely different atmosphere. And it's so sweet. Like you wouldn't trade it for anything, but it does take more
effort,
thought. It doesn't just happen. And my elders would probably say, hey, Mom, it didn't just happen for us either. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we did play. We did swim. I had a good friend with a great pool that, 2 days a week it was set. And now it's provided through my sister. She has a great pool. 2 days a week are for family swim. And so we just know that those are the days we go. And so that's been pretty consistent. we've never been big vacation people, but we used to always go visit Sam's dad in the summer, and that was so fun. That was vacation. He's passed away now, so now it's, there's that gap. We really feel it, so we're kind of coming up. Well, we should probably figure out a way to have a McVay camp, because it would be nice to have a place where we could all just be together, because we miss that.
And that's that transition, that's, thinking forward now to when the kids are older. And if you don't mind, Amy, let me reflect on, the loss of your father-in-law. And, that's one of the things that was really important to us and still is, because we have all of our grandparents still, we're very blessed. Mm. And so spending those summer months focusing on family, focusing on time that we can spend with our grandparents when the school year is so busy. That's one of the things that we really spent time, because like you said, we couldn't take summer vacations either because of my husband's job. And so really it was all about catch up with friends, catch up with family. And like I said, I was a planner. And so I would plan out themed weeks, and we had a craft week, and we had a playground week. And we had, a swimming pool time that was regular, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, all of the crafts that we went through, they still exist around my house. The kids are like, Mom, why don't you get rid of that? I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm saving that forever. And then my husband's like, please clear out the storage room. I'm like, no, I'm not ready. So,
I love it.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's memories. And so to just kind of address our young families out there where, they're doing, what both of you all have said in that, the kids may entertain themselves. That's beautiful. And what an incredible set of memories that creates. So, while you can have on the one hand a Uber planner like me, which is not always the best blessed thing, it really isn't. Those precious moments of where they create their own games, they're outside just being creative and using their imagination. That's a huge blessing too, don't you think, ladies?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, okay, but let's talk about summer. Have you ever had to use summer, to cover some curriculum a little bit more practically, looked at summer and said, okay, we just didn't get everything done. We're going to have some fun, but we've got to finish a few things. Did that ever happen to you guys? Either one.
I try not to let it happen.
Yes,
Actually,
Debbie, right.
I take that back. Usually in like February or March, I'm looking ahead and I'm going, oh, okay, so this summer, we got a little behind in spelling, so we can catch up in spelling. And there's this really neat unit study that we could do that over the summer, because you want to do all the things, right? And you don't have time for all the things during the school year. So you're like, I can do this during the summer. And look, there's this great online class. It's a few weeks during the summer. We can do that. And then I get to May, like I am right now, and we're finishing up towards the end of the lesson plans that we have for the regular year. And I'm going, what in the world was I thinking? Why do I want to do that? Like, I need my time off. Like, I don't school year round, mostly because of me, not because the kids don't want to school, but like, I need time where I am not the teacher.
Amen.
I need time to just do, I hear homeschoolers say so often, how do you do everything? Like, how do you keep the house clean and cook and do the dishes and do the laundry and still teach? And I'm like, well, I teach and my kids eat usually, and there's dishes everywhere. They're usually dirty, but they get clean, and we end up with clothes to wear. But over the summer is also a time where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to clean out the closets, right? Because I feel like all year we've just been kind of shoving things in corners. And so, it's the time when I can just kind of regroup,
right,
and get myself together. And so when I need to, I've got my first grader this year has not gotten very far in the spelling book, and I really want to be online with those second grade plans next year. So we might do spelling over the summer, but it's hard when there's kids that don't have to finish their work, and then there's one that does. And
Right.
why would it's so hard to stop play and focus on school.
Well, Debbie, you said
Yeah.
something really important. You said, you need the break. And I really want our parents to hear that. It's very true. We need the break just as much as the kids do. And I would always encourage parents, you've got to have some of that downtime. So, Amy, what about you? Was there a time when you really needed to kind of fill in some curriculum or anything like that?
Well, this will go into my thing at the very end, but I would say yes, there were often times I really was so far from being done. But it never worked out very well. And so I've gotten to the point where I know myself and I have reasonable expectations. And so I like having something in the pocket to pull out, but it's not a must, like I know July hits, it's super hot. We don't even want to swim, it's so hot,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot to do. So, okay, we're going to pull this out this week and I'll make my list. So often we do math facts, like
that's good.
we'll have math facts. We have a little app that I use called Extra Math that I love, and they log into their name. And so it keeps their progress. We do that. So like on the whiteboard, I might have math facts, read for 30 minutes after the first 2 weeks of mad summer nothingness, and then
Right.
that's easy. That's easy. They can do it on their own. It nourishes them. It's great. But maybe by July, we might pull out something that really they did not finish well and I did not oversee well. But if we don't, we don't.
We
If
don't.
that makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
sure it does. Absolutely. I have to say, yes, I remember a particular summer when I got through the school year and I said, we have got to do, this subject in the summer. I just have to set it aside and we'll dribble through the summer. And me being the planner that I was, it was kind of like what you all said, like by 9 a.m. you're doing this and that kind of stuff. So, I always had grammar worksheets on hand or Latin flashcards or math flashcards or math worksheets. And even if I just went and bought them from a local bookstore, it was part of filling that time for my kids through a day and making sure that they weren't in front of electronics all day.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
So if we had a rainy day or we couldn't all go outside and play, or it wasn't one of my themed weeks, there was still some kind of backup plan to fill that time. And oftentimes it was just some of the worksheets if it wasn't, something I had to just say, look, we're going to cover this in the summer. And I even went so far as to have a summer binder for each kids on
Oh my.
the worksheets. Yeah, I know. I'm crazy. I
That's
totally get
special.
it. No, I don't think it's special, Amy. I think it's nuts. But, but I did. I had a summer binder and that was more me. Like that was just okay, all right, we don't know what we're doing right now. Okay, let's go get the summer binder. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to pull out a worksheet. I'm like, yes, I am. But you only have to do this for 15 minutes, So
My kids would quickly figure out that if they keep themselves occupied, mom won't pull that binder out.
Yeah.
But if the electronics come out, the binder comes out. So yeah.
That is not a bad idea. That is so good.
Then they'll get creative, right? And then
Exactly.
hey, that could spur some creativity and make sure they're not on electronics just by threatening them with a summer binder.
I think one of Daddy's favorite phrases is, "If you're inside, you're working." They're really
Oh.
quickly outside and playing.
I like that, and you all talked about summer projects. And yes, that happened in our house for sure, because I call them minions, ladies, minions. And I'm
Yes.
losing my minions, as we have already talked about.
Oh man.
They're dwindling. I don't have enough kids to clean all of my blinds and everything.
I know. I was just saying I'm going to have to actually relearn how to do the dishes because all my dishwashers are growing up and out. So
That's another thing we did in the summertime, as we transitioned to older, now that I have teenagers, obviously like 2 of them are out of my house, but now that I'm left with just teenagers, they plan menus and they cook. And so I take that
Yes.
summertime to teach them, because the school year with all the ball games and all that kind of stuff is too busy. all that stuff that happens outside of school time. And so now they cook. And I've got to send them off into the world with some domestic skills.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I tell you what, every Saturday morning I wake up to a wonderful breakfast. It's usually biscuits and gravy because that is my 13-year-old's absolute favorite. And he started when he was 9. He wanted
Wow.
biscuits and gravy for breakfast. And I'm like, oh, do you know how much work that is to make? And he's like, well, teach me. And now he just makes it because he wants it, So it's
awesome.
It's wonderful that they just have that freedom to do that.
Amy's going to get hers cooking now.
Yeah, I have a 9-year-old son. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm going to show him this.
You just have to figure out what their favorite foods are and then stop making it. And then they're all of a sudden show interest.
That's the truth, because ours is monkey bread and waffles.
Oh my gosh, together.
Well, no, not at the same time. That would be way too much of a carb overload. Well, listen, ladies, let's close with a final word of advice for our homeschool friends out there as they approach summer, as they're maybe planning or maybe not planning summer, as the three of us are all on that spectrum differently. What would your all's final words of advice be as they approach the summer?
I would my heart to pass on is having a definitive closure to your school year. And that to me addresses the fact that a lot of times, especially if you're a new homeschooler or an older one, but if you're an older one, you're more used to this. If you're new and you've had expectations that you don't feel that you've met, and you feel like all of these things are undone. Look at it objectively, call Carrie and she'll tell you what you can let go of and bring some closure to it. And then if you have older kids where you've gone through this before and you've dropped the ball or they've dropped the ball and you've let some things slide that you really, you want to do better. Look at that. Don't be in denial about it. Look at it, grieve it. I just had a situation recently where my daughter and I, we just had to grieve the fact that a test went pretty bad. And so we had to look at it objectively, grieve it, put it away. So look at it, plan for next year because we want to keep growing, but then shake off all of that, guilt. I didn't get it done. Don't let it haunt or oppress your summer. I just really want to preach release, freedom, but learn and grow.
I agree. Debbie, how about you?
There you go.
I like that. Yeah, I would say try to really know yourself and your family dynamics. I think so often, especially with people that haven't been homeschooling as long, you see all the blogs, you see all your friends talking, you talk to people like Carrie who are like, yeah, I have a binder with all the stuff we're going to do each week, right? And you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this? Some people really need structure, right? Some people school year round because their family works better when the kids are on a routine every day. And if you break that routine for the summer, it really messes them up. If that's the way your family is, then keep following your routine, right? Like that's okay. But if it's not, if you're like me and you're like, I just need to be done, then be done and enjoy your summer. And don't feel guilty if you're not doing everything that you feel like is summer enrichment you have to do. Because I'll tell you, out of my 7 kids, who the youngest one is still not quite reading, but out of all of them, 4 of them learned to read over the summer between kindergarten and first grade when we weren't doing any curriculum. We ended kindergarten and me going, I don't know how we're going to start first grade because you're just not quite reading yet. And then, we just stopped doing anything. And then they're like, but Mom, what about this book? Will you read it to me? And I'm like, I can't read it to you. I'm too busy doing this other thing. And they pick it up and they start reading. And, if I'd have continued that curriculum with them over the summer, I think they still wouldn't have been reading by first grade, because they were fighting it. So they just needed that relaxing and to choose to do it themselves. So learning does happen over the summer. The kids will be very enriched anyway. And so figure out you in your family dynamics and go from there and just make what works best for your family happen, and don't feel guilty if you're not doing what everyone else is doing.
Oh, Debbie, thank you.
So good.
Oh, so good. So good from both of you, because those words of encouragement are so important on both spectrums. You know, Debbie has given me permission to be that binder mom. Thank you so much, because
We
yes.
binder moms.
Well, you know, I mean, and she's right, just recognizing, you know, what works for you. But I want to tell families, do not be afraid to play. And I don't, you know, get too influenced by this crazy binder mom, because, you know, within that binder, you know, was also playtime. And take the time to play with your kids, because guess what? We get this only once. And with each kid at each stage and each age. And I would love for you to revel in it and love it and just cherish it and make those memories and photograph those memories, so that you know, get to open that back up later. Ladies, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your family summer fun with us.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Enjoy the talk.
All right. God bless you, ladies, and God bless everybody else as you endeavor to have fun. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you liked our episode, click the thumbs up button or leave a comment below and let us know what you thought. Click the bell icon or subscribe to stay in the loop and get notifications of when we have new episodes. You can also check out our other resources and videos on classical homeschool education. I'm Carrie McGraw. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.